Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Tom Tobin. I am the founder and CEO of Modelshop. I am joined on stage by James Marsh, who is the head of our product team. So Modelshop is a low-code automation platform for business analysts. As we're out talking to clients, it's become very clear to us that the tens of thousands of spreadsheets, hundreds of thousands of spreadsheets that continue to run much of financial services is becoming a barrier to digital transformation. Modelshop is a platform that enables companies to create the types of risk and financial analysis in an online environment that can replace what's currently done in offline spreadsheets. So I'm guessing there's a couple of skeptics in the room. I know vendors have been claiming the ability to provide an alternative to spreadsheets for many years, and there's been limited success, and it's because it's hard. But Modelshop is different. What we've created is a multi-dimensional modeling environment coupled with a syntactical layer that allows business analysts to create the types of models that typically were limited to spreadsheets without coding. So let's run to the demo. Ironically, we're actually going to start our demo with a spreadsheet. So this is a mortgage decisioning spreadsheet that tries to decide based on risk-weighted return on equity whether a mortgage fits within your portfolio. So it's very typical of the types of spreadsheets that we work with. 15 or so sheets, hundreds of calculations, plus it's critical to running the business. All right, enough Excel. We're going to jump over to Modelshop. So James is logging into Modelshop. You can see it's obviously an online application. We do host it for some customers. It's also deployable on-premise. In the Modelshop environment, business analysts can create, share, and govern their models interactively. It's multi-tenant and gives control to the analyst. So James is going to create a new model for us to import that spreadsheet. And when he does, it starts with a blank canvas, ready to import data. We can take data from a variety of sources, databases, web services. We handle JSON, XML. But James is going to pull in the data from the spreadsheet that we were just looking at. You'll notice that Modelshop does a pretty good job interpreting the contents of the spreadsheet and translates it automatically into a multi-dimensional data set. More importantly, as it imports it, we use heuristics to understand the relationships in the data. So we're creating a dynamic data model on the fly as we're analyzing the data. This is incredibly important to the models that we create because that's how the analysts can transcend this data so seamlessly. So we're going to accept the defaults here, and we go into the model, and the analyst is now in a familiar type grid environment where you can navigate data, calculations, you can move through projections. What we're going to do, however, in the interest of time, is going to do that cooking show trick where we take a fully baked model out of the oven. James is going to open up a model that he might have spent an hour or so curating, and now we have a full application. So we have the charts, the graphs, the dashboards, cubes, our equivalent of pivot tables. But more importantly, under the hood, we have this dimensional data model. So this is incredibly important for two reasons. One, it allows new users of the model and your auditors to understand what's going on with the relationships in the data. Secondly, it drives the language. And as we all know, a language is a critical part of any analytic system. So James is going to run over to an example expression. So we call them calculations. We've actually imported it from Excel. And just to make it more interesting, we left the original Excel expression in there as a comment. So you can see, it looks like we are doing a double-level VLOOKUP to go find median housing prices based on a zip code. A very typical calculation. What James is going to do is now replace it with the Modelshop equivalent. So using the data modeling, he's naturally transcending all the relationships in the data. Autocomplete is helping him. And in the end, the expression that he ends up with is much simpler and easier to understand than the Excel equivalent. So this is tremendously important because now we can go and navigate all the relationships in our data. We keep track of every calculation, every dependency, and you have the ability to navigate all those dependencies interactively. You can also report on it. So if you're an auditor, for example, and you want to drill into that calculation and see how it was created, as well as drill forward to derived calculations and back to the original source data. You can do all of that interactively in the tool. It's a tremendously powerful environment for traceability analysis. And since we can bring sophisticated data, such as full credit reports as an example, into Modelshop models, you can avoid transformation and go all the way back to the original source data. So that's pretty powerful already, but it's not the punchline. What really makes this model powerful is the entire model is online and everything is accessible through APIs. So as we described getting a decision on a loan, whether it fits our portfolio, now the same model can be exposed as a REST API, and you could interact with it with your upstream or downstream systems and get a real-time answer in milliseconds. So this changes the game in many ways. Your business analysts are now plugged into your digital transformation. You have tremendous visibility into the calculations that they're creating to drive your business. We have governance, and we have automation. So through our APIs, we can automate many of the manual, redundant data processing tasks that your analysts are doing every day. And finally, we have accelerated innovation. The time from data to insight to action is much faster without an interim coding step. So this is just one example model. We've created tons of models for our clients in regulatory, credit risk decisioning, and valuation analysis. So if you come back to our booth, we'll show you a few fun models. And I'd like to thank you for your time, and have a great afternoon.